The film series that won't die. Nearly 30 movies. One house. Actually, several houses. And cursed artifacts.
The Amityville Horror Podcast.
Hey, welcome back to another Amityville Podcast. I'm Pat.
I'm Tom.
And today we are going to be watching Amityville 3D from 1983.
Only we'll be watching it in 2D because, why?
Yeah. It was Anaglyph, and the red-green usually hurts my brain anyway.
Let's see, these are good reasons.
Yeah. Also, it's not available in 3D anywhere that we could find.
Which is kind of surprising. You figure it, the way that the 3D home releases are happening more frequently, your Scream Factories and stuff kind of you think they view it as a reason to kind of remaster the thing. Hey, we can trick. There's got to be some people that are excited that they'd finally be able to watch it in 3D, and so that's $40.
Yeah, but it's weird, especially on the franchise ones that they're the last ones to be picked. You can find fringe movies that were in 3D. That's the way they put it out for the Blu-ray.
Yeah,
but Jaws 3D. Impossible to find as a print. I saw it at the Senator Theater in actual polarized 3D, and it's beautiful 3D in that movie. Yeah. If it's not the red-green, and if it's on a big enough screen, the 3D works. The movie's still got its issues, but the 3D was really impressive.
Yeah, I like a good 3D. I still like the My Bloody Valentine 3D. And we talked about that last week, didn't we?
I think we mentioned it briefly, either on air or off. But the same guys did Drive Angry, which was some great 3D. One of my favorites that is super hard to find, and my buddy got a German Blu-ray of it because it was the only version in 3D. But when I was working at the movie theater back in the 90s, we got in for this movie 3D glasses because that's how it was released in some markets, just not in the U.S. But somehow we got the glasses.
Nice.
Cemetery Man.
What?
Cemetery
There's
Man.
A 3D version of Cemetery Man?
It was the intent.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Cemetery Man is my favorite movie.
There is a 3D version of it out there, and it is gorgeous. Every
this is
shot.
My new mission in life with all the little will-o'-the-wisp things floating around. Oh,
yeah.
Ooh.
Just all scenes of him digging graves and throwing dirt in them, the camera placement, the framing,
I want it so bad.
I'll see if I can borrow and rip a copy from my buddy.
I gotta figure this out. We'll figure it out. Oh man! All right. So this movie though, which fun fact. With all the I've been doing daily marathons of Columbo, and I watched the Etude in Black. The season 2 episode with John Cassavetes as our murderer of the week, and who should be an alcoholic trumpet player that they try to throw everything off, but James Olsen, our less bad priest from Amityville Part 2, because I think Rod Steiger is still the worst priest of the bunch,
because he never even really met with the family. This one at least he met them, then ignored them in their time of need.
Yeah, and he felt appropriately guilty afterwards, but he is there in that. This what was fun is that the Columbo episode was much earlier than the Amityville movie, and he is much balder, and yet ironically has longer hair.
Yeah. Well, you got to remember that Amityville 2 is arguably a prequel, so it takes place before he lost his Columbo hair.
That's a good point. This happened before. Yeah.
As far as
afterwards, that's why he went into being an alcoholic trumpet player.
Exactly. It makes sense. It's after you go through that, you leave the church.
Obviously.
And instead of being an instrument of the Lord, you find an instrument of the Lord.
Indeed.
And trumpets are biblical in a way.
Yeah. I'll buy that.
Yeah, trumpets and harps. Angels love them.
Oh, totally. So Amityville 3D. Did you look up anything about this?
The only thing I spotted besides the 3D is that this is one of the first film appearances of a young Meg Ryan.
Whoa!
And Lori Loughlin.
Full House fame.
But the same year this came out, also released to theaters because 83 was a big 3D year. Friday the 13th Part 3 was in 3D, which is available in 3D only finally after the last, 2-3 years?
Yeah, I think I got it in the box set. I think.
Exactly. That's the first time they've put out that in 3D. But as I mentioned, Jaws 3D.
Oh.
Jaws 3D features Dennis Quaid.
Oh.
Dennis Quaid and Meg Ryan, 2 years later did DOA, and I think that's where they met, but they were together for,
quite a while.
Decades.
Yeah, and their son is Wee Huey on The Boys. Jack Quaid is Wee Huey on The Boys. Meg Ryan and Dennis Quaid's full-grown son is on a TV show right now because you're old. We're not old. You're old. The listener. You are old.
Yeah. I don't think he's really going to be able to prove he's their kid until he does a 3D movie.
You know, the gauntlet has been set. You know, it's like certain trials that are familial at this point.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
it's
that or some sort of body horror comedy movie with Martin Short.
Yeah. Yeah, they've done that all together too.
Yeah.
I just wonder if there was ever an argument around the table of, I'm not doing 3D, I'm only doing 2D, Mom, 2D, Dad. You can't control me.
Back in our day, we cut our teeth on 3D, and only when we proved that we didn't need gimmicks and all sorts of silliness were we allowed to make 2D movies.
We only started making two-dimensional films when our characters were three-dimensional of themselves, arguably, because both of them have done some pretty flat stuff.
Well, yeah. Haven't seen Meg Ryan in forever. Dennis Quaid still pops up in every other thing, which is kind of nice.
Yeah, but I think she just kind of stepped out of the business. I think
she had that plastic surgery.
Yeah.
It was an unfortunate choice.
It's a shame because, nowadays, actresses can age into just other roles and other franchises, and
does beg the question: did Meg Ryan have a range outside of the quirky, 20-something woman, which she did get to play for nigh 30 years?
Yes, and I think personally, my favorite role of hers was Joe versus Volcano, and that was 3 roles.
Yeah, I was about to say, which one?
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, she showed while playing a quirky girl that she could play 3 different versions of it, kind of like Michael Keaton in Multiplicity.
Yeah.
Plays Michael Keaton in every one of those roles. It's a variation of him, but it shows that there is range within what he does, whereas she got to do that in Joe versus Volcano.
Accurate.
Or I would say her last great performance, and it's really the last one I can think of, is Hurly Burly. Was very against type.
I remember the title Hurly Burly. I don't remember what in God's name it is.
It was a drama with elements of comedy, but it's been forever since I've seen it. I'm not going to be able to give an accurate description of the plot, but I do remember specifically that her performance in it was much better than I ever remember her doing.
Fair enough.
And in general, I thought it was a lot of great performances in the film. Something to check out, depending on whether we recommend watching Amityville 3D once we're done.
Yeah, which we're watching this on Tubi again, and from the little title screen, we're seeing Robert Joy is in that. He's one of those guys that you've seen a zillion times, but never remember. Like for me, he's the guy with the facial scars in Land of the Dead. That's Robert Joy. Tess Harper is our main character, apparently, and I believe she's in No Country for Old Men. But the name that's just jumping out at me is Mr. New York. Tony Roberts is in this movie. Amityville number 3. Tony Roberts, who is in a number of Woody Allen movies, like the good Woody Allen movies back in the 70s, like Annie Hall and I don't remember.
So is he in Manhattan?
I think he's in Manhattan. I think he's in Manhattan. He's also delightful as the deputy mayor in the taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3.
Right.
But so I'm very curious to see what... It's 1983, so this is sort of him slumming it. Like, he shouldn't be in this movie at this point, you would think. Maybe he just likes the work. Or,
character actors don't always get the best in royalties. They don't get the most upfront money, so...
Let's do a horror movie.
Yeah.
Have the bank account.
Yeah, you take what can come along, and your best scenario is Well, you got two great options. One, it turns into an instant classic, and you know, you can maybe even be a part of a franchise, and that's guaranteed pay down the way. Although
get your Donald Pleasance money.
Exactly. Or the movie's completely forgettable, and nobody knows you did it, and you still have that money in your account.
Also a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Some of that other Donald Pleasance money.
Yeah. All the other Donald Pleasance money. Jesus.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're going to go ahead and start the movie, and we'll be back in just a second for you guys.
And 1 hour and 33 minutes for us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy. Can't go in with that. Last week was awesome. Last week was unexpectedly amazing. This might be unexpectedly amazing.
Mm-hmm. It is rated PG. Parental guidance suggested.
Unexpectedly amazing.
Yeah. But this is pre-PG-13 PG.
So
this could be Jaws PG.
Exactly. Yeah. Like real horror movie.
Yeah, Poltergeist PG, that kind of thing.
Yeah. All right. Let's do this. And we're back. Amityville 3D, which, I mean, it's not bad.
It's not good. It is definitely Amityville, and there is a lot of 3D.
I mean, all right, definitely Amityville. It definitely takes place in the Amityville house.
Mm-hmm.
But no one is being, like, slowly possessed and or driven insane by the house.
No, it's...
I feel like that's crucial to that's Amityville.
That's what they've set the series up for so far.
Yeah.
So this one takes a hard turn. It opens with a guy who is a paranormal investigator. We open with a seance.
Yeah. In the Amityville house. This medium has the idea of helping a person reach their dead son by using the Amityville house as an antenna.
Mm-hmm. And it's an older couple that are there to, like, you know, help them talk to the kid who... Ricky.
Not an Amityville victim. But just, you know, we're using this to get in touch with other people.
This is a house that acts as a dividing rod or something like that. They don't really go into much detail on it because they don't feel like we care.
No, and yeah.
Mm-hmm. So they have this seance and things start shaking and then a glowing green cloud appears. And then...
It turns out it's all bullshit.
Mm-hmm. In the middle of the seance, the one woman, the air quote mother of the child, breaks out a camera and starts taking all sorts of pictures, including of the guy holding a stick with a glowing... with a bag that they made the glowing thing. That, like... That room wasn't that dark, and that glowing bag would have shown us that guy.
Yeah.
So...
Well, he was dressed all in black.
He was.
Like a good techie.
Absolutely. Although, like a good techie, he should have had a metal t-shirt on.
Yeah, I mean, you know, flipped inside out, but you should have been able to read it in reverse that it's, you know, some squiggle of a heavy metal man. But no, as it turns out, these were fake psychics, con men that were being exposed by our main characters, Tony Roberts and Tony Roberts' assistants. Was that Candy Clark?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, Candy Clark, who are intrepid investigators for Reveal Magazine.
Mm-hmm. Something that debunks all of these ghosts and myths and supernatural because our main character is a skeptic.
Yeah.
Now, I checked the ending credits and the Warrens were not advisors on this one, so I'm pretty sure that whole scene was a dig at the Warrens.
Probably.
Yeah. This one, again, not based on anything except that there are other movies that they're following. They do make reference to the real events, sort of the previous two movies, basically some amalgam of...
Yeah, it's kind of weird, because, like, we have... This is, like, Amityville number 3, so it follows 1 and 2. And in number 2, we see their version of the events that happened before the Lutzes moved in. The actual massacre that happened in the house, and we get a different set of names and a different body count. And in this one, they actually name Ronnie DeFeo specifically. The actual person who is the guy that murdered his family in the Amityville house. And they get the numbers right.
Right.
Which was kind of surprising.
Killed both parents and the 4 siblings.
4 siblings.
Whereas in the second one, it was one sibling killed the other 3 and the 2 parents.
Yeah.
But playing fast and loose with continuity, that's horror movies.
True. It's just one of those things, like the very little research we've been doing, it's like, oh, huh. But again, that has very little to do with anything because this movie is about Tony Roberts, whose name is John. It was John, right? Yeah.
I honestly don't remember.
I was just calling him Tony Roberts the whole time. And so he is talking to the realtor or the owner of the Amityville house after the seance debunking session. And the owner of the house is desperately trying to keep his name out of everything because he's got enough trouble selling the house as it is. And as a side note, he mentions he can't even sell the houses on either side of the Amityville house. There's such a reputation, which is great. Yeah. That is great world building.
Yeah, he didn't say whether he had bought those other 2 houses or he was just representing them.
Yeah.
But he did very specifically say that he had bought, because it was going for so cheap, that house, and waiting for all of the hubbub to die down, which anyone who knows anything about filming locations, people still go out to the Breaking Bad house, or the Halloween house, or
the Nightmare on Elm Street house, the mansion Georgetown steps,
and the house on Haunted Hill. If it's a horror location, you're going to have tourists.
Yes. And so this guy can't sell the house, and enter Tony Roberts, who is in the middle of a divorce and looking to start a new life. And since he doesn't believe in this shit anyway, what the hell? It's cheap.
It's a cheap house. He's going through a divorce. He needs a place to live. He needs to start working on his Great American Novel so he can leave Reveal magazine.
Indeed.
These are all important plot points, I guess.
Kind of. Character building. Also, he has a keyboard. And he knows how to play the keyboard.
Yeah. We never see him play the keyboard or even mention any interest in music whatsoever, but he does.
He plays it once. When he's packing it up, he plays like the little eerie music tone for the daughter, played by Lori Loughlin, with the same haircut that she would have for the next 10 years on Full House.
I actually can't picture her without that haircut.
Right?
Yeah.
It was crazy because she's like able to convincingly play a teenager. I'm sure she was at least in her early 20s at that point. Yeah. But she very much looks like a teenager and yet has the same exact haircut that she had on, was it Good Morning San Diego? Or it was something. San Diego is the name of the morning show she has with Bob Saget's character Danny Tanner Danny Tanner, or is it Wake Up San Diego?
I'm not an expert on Full House,
isn't it? Never mind.
San Francisco. It is San Francisco.
San Francisco. Wake Up Sam. Anyway, doesn't matter. But she had that haircut forever. Like Uncle Jesse went through more hairstyles than she did on the entire show.
His got more and more feathered, like he was trying to compete.
Oh my God, John Stamos' hair is amazing. Anyway, so Tony Randall plays
Roberts.
Tony Roberts.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Tony Randall. I believe Tony Randall is the name of a director of one of the later entries in the series. I believe Amityville 6. Yes. I could be wrong.
No, you are right. But this is to be sure not to be confused spelling wise with Tony Randall of The Odd Couple. Yeah. So, but let's talk about this movie that we watched.
So this
was sort of good, but sort of there's no cohesion to the events that happen.
Yeah, it's just a long string of events. There's not really any sort of arc or character building. It's just a whole bunch of stuff happens, which we'll go through.
But they happen to the same characters, and so we can sort of say it's a movie or a story. It follows all of them, but
it starts in a place and it ends in a place.
Same place.
Yeah. And you know that things have changed. Yeah. So yeah, it's a story. It's a story.
It's a story.
So the real estate agent sells him the house, and the real estate agent, by the way, looks like Robert Z'Dar's uncle, I guess.
We'll go uncle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not young, not old enough to be his dad.
Yeah.
But uncle.
Kind of a blend of Robert Z'Dar and the guy who played Bluto in Popeye and was one of the villains in Crime Wave.
Very trapezoidal head.
He goes into the house for reasons, and he's exploring it, and he goes up to the upstairs room that has the eye windows.
Yeah. Which, this is the same house. It's definitely the same house from number 2, because they have the same banisters and railings. But
the inside
is the same inside as the first one.
Well, the first one in the banister matches, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
But other than that, there's issues with internal geography. Most of these, I think, were shot on sound stages with a little bit of location stuff in Thomas River, New Jersey. If you want to visit the real house, it might be there still.
Probably. But, definitely, the staircases are in the same spot. But, once again, the basement changes. But we'll get there. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. So the real...
I think he's there to give the keys or to do, the final handoff to Tony Roberts.
Yeah. Although I don't think it was terribly clear.
No. There's a lot of, little jumps and or skips in internal logic of the film that we will talk about later.
Mm-hmm. So he shows up at the house. He goes all the way up to the top floor, which if you are dropping off keys, that's a perfect hiding spot.
That's where you would put them, especially if you're overweight. It's 3 whole stories up.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flies.
He hears some flies. We see flies at the window.
This is our first really big 3D effect. I think they had a little bit in the seance, but the flies are coming at you in 3D.
Mm-hmm. The opening titles were also pushing 3D pretty hard, which looked really not great in 2D. But the flies start filling the room, and then there's wave upon wave of them, and then you see flies come right up at the camera, some
I did not
weird
like
little
that.
puppety ones or something.
Yeah,
and some of them were glowing. And
it would have really been gross in 3D. That would have been that would have been effective and terrible.
And he gets covered in flies and he's choking out. At which point, Tony Roberts comes home, goes upstairs, and finds the real estate agent dying, not dead yet, but his face is bloated. He's reaching out, his hand is shaking, and he dead.
And Tony Roberts barely musters a shrug.
Mm-hmm. This is weird.
This is something that happens every day.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure if any of us went and bought a house and came home one day and our real estate agent was dying in front of you at the top of the stairs,
it's just a house settling.
Exactly. These things, it's, I mean, he knew he was selling the thing. Maybe this was just his last great bit of unfinished business.
Yeah.
So he died, and then they go to one of the friends of Tony,
his writing partner,
right? Who has a batch of pictures.
Pictures from after the seance. They were doing some post debunking, investigating, taking pictures around the house to show all the BS that the fake psychics were doing, and this is Candy Clark. She had taken pictures of Tony Roberts and the realtor, and the pictures of Tony Roberts' face looks fine, but the realtor's face is hideously deformed or grossed out or crossed out or something.
It looks like a Leatherface mask from one of the newer Texas chainsaws. Just kind of patchy and weirdly smeared, but it's kind of a Leatherfacey.
Tony Roberts, when presented with this evidence that there's something, maybe weird going on, completely says there's something wrong with the camera, even though the distortion is in different spots in each picture and follows this one guy, but does nothing to his face.
Yeah, there's a glitch somewhere in this non-digital, old-school mechanical camera that is completely distorting this one person who just dropped drop dead in front of him.
Consistently, in multiple pictures.
But you know what? It's just faulty equipment because he is a skeptic and he is adamant about it.
This is like one of the. I was just about to say this is like one of the militant atheist sort of things. Where like even when you're presented with possibilities, it's like you have to at least acknowledge it could be. No, it can't.
No.
Not according to my belief system.
It's not even like Scully remaining a skeptic where she just happens to have her back turned to each thing. God, like, he is being presented with evidence.
Yeah. That is, like, there's but I do like that. So then she brings it to their scientist friend, played by Robert Joy. Mm-hmm. He had been there.
He looks a bit like a blend between William F. Buckley and Seth Meyer.
But not sexy.
Right. And those two got it going. Ow.
So the Seth Meyers, he really does look like Seth Meyers. So she brings the pictures to him, and he is some sort of scientician at the local university, Dr. West. And
not at all a reference to Lovecraft. It probably somebody somewhere on the script thought they would throw that in there, and everyone else didn't get it, so they just went in the other direction.
It's fine. And to their credit, I kind of liked this scene where he's like, I don't think this is going to be anything, but let's run it through as many tests as we can to say that it isn't anything. Because he says, in 97% of the cases, this is nothing. And then Candy Clark asks, well, what about the other 3%? He's like, well, that's why I'm doing this is why we do what we do. So we can find out what the other 3% is. And it's like, yes, that is the thing. It's like, that's the right amount of skepticism. It's like, look, I don't think this is a thing. But of course, we're going to make sure that it isn't first before we say one way or the other.
Science is big on getting the broad answer, and then you take the exceptions and figure out where the anomaly lies, and you learn more about how the entire mechanism works.
Yes. Luckily for this film and the audience, this plot point with the pictures is never picked up again.
Yeah, we abandon it before it comes close to dangerously affecting a character's opinion.
Yeah. And then Candy Clark goes back to the house that she has overtly said gives her the creeps, and has one of the more effective jump scares of the film with a character that we only see in this one scene and then never comes back.
Dolores, one of the few names I remember because she calls it over and over again. She's looking for Dolores.
Who we are supposed to somehow know is a character that exists in the film.
Like, we were trying to place, is that the daughter? No, the daughter was... Susan, which
hadn't been introduced yet.
Oh, she had been introduced briefly.
Did they mention the name? But she hadn't appeared on screen yet.
She had appeared on screen right before this. You're right. Two quick scenes are Daddy-Daughter Day at the new house, where they talk like people who have absolutely met each other before.
Yeah,
totally. and
are definitely related. As and father and daughter.
They definitely talk all the time because there's no need for that much exposition if a daddy and daughter really communicate. Yeah. As he explains that he's writing the book, and she talks about the divorce, and they just kind of go over all of your major story points that we haven't maybe heard yet.
Yeah. It is important to keep in mind that whenever Tony Roberts is talking to any character, he is talking in the very efficient New York theater way that he talks to literally every person. Every person has the exact same tone, the exact same word choice, and all of it underscores his complete disinterest in the film that he is making.
He gives it in a very matter-of-fact, here's what you need to know, in the kind of way that like a supporting character in an investigative piece would do.
You would think that Robert Joy and Tony Roberts were playing the opposite characters.
Kind of, yeah. So yeah, we get a daddy-daughter tour of the house. The daughter it's not clear if she's supposed to move in with him or not. She's just not entirely comfortable about it. Mom is not entirely comfortable with it.
Yeah, Mom definitely hates it. I think it's more like when I stay with you, I will have my own room sort of thing. But they haven't really gone, like, they say they're in the process of a divorce, but they don't appear to be in any way, like, very far into the process.
No, he has done no packing, because she even in a scene or two, she basically says, you need to pack your bags, you need to pack your things and get out.
Take your shit.
Yeah. Now, he's bought a house, so I'm figuring that's part of the plan, but she's pushing him along.
Like, the way she said it, it's like they had been talking about it, but now it's real, and so now she's angry. This is the wife is played by Tess Harper, who played Tommy Lee Jones's wife in No Country for Old Men, and is actually pretty good in the film. I thought I liked her. Yeah. But anyway, Lori Loughlin is the daughter, and her best friend is a very interesting Meg Ryan.
Well, we'll get.
Right.
We got back because there is Dolores. We didn't finish the whole sequence.
Yeah.
The partner goes to the house. For reasons.
And Dolores scares actually, they both sort of. So the partner is looking around for Tony Roberts. And when she realizes he's not there, she's asking for Dolores. And then she keeps hearing noises in different parts of the house. She goes to one door, opens it up, and there is Dolores, who we have no idea who she is, with a police murder flashlight, and they both scream at each other, scaring each other, which was very effective at scaring me, because what is happening right now?
Yeah, this starts a trend through the entire movie. The biggest scares in the movie are basically cat in the window.
Yeah.
You open a door, there's a friendly person, but you scream. There's others we'll point out as we go. But yeah, most of the scary moments with supernatural stuff are kind of, here's an effect we're attempting. Whereas where they actually get you to jump is almost entirely always a fake out scare.
Yeah.
So
although I would argue that the elevator pantomime that Tony Roberts does was very effective.
Which was right in the middle of this Dolores scene. Like, we meet Dolores, we cut to him in the elevator. It goes down to the second floor, stalls, zips all the way to the top of the building.
At such speed that he is pressed to the floor of the elevator, a la the Gravitron at your local amusement park.
And then it zips right back down to the ground level where he's zipped up on wire.
Onto the ceiling. And this is after a fly has appeared in the elevator. Because once again, the house has agency far outside of the house. And it is always evidenced by the presence of at least one obnoxious fly.
Yeah. As houses go, it definitely gets out and gets around.
It does. Which is nice. And it's old age, you worry that it's not going to get around and do much. But
you need to travel.
Exactly. Break up the monotony.
Some houses don't like settling.
Exactly.
So we cut back to Dolores leaves, and the partner is in the house, and she goes to inspect the basement.
Which was dumb.
It's full of cold air. There's a giant Arctic blast, white smoke, and looks like snow coming at her.
She looks like she's in a department store Christmas display by the end of it.
Yeah,
it's adorable.
Covered in frost and snow, but she's fine. No frostbite, any of that. She's just freaked out.
And blames him and yells at him and won't tell him what the hell happened and or why she's freaking out, but definitely runs out of the house as if he raped her. It was weird. I was very confused.
It was very...
And again, there's a lot of moments where it's just that there's at least one extra scene or 10 more seconds of a scene that would explain it that they filmed and then didn't leave in because we have to keep it at 90 minutes.
Yep. So we get she's frosted over, she runs away, and then jump cut to a girl sitting up and screaming with things on her eyes, and she's in a medical study where they have put this girl, who we never get a name or any information about.
No.
She has been in one of those...
Janice? Joyce was one of the attendants, but I think Janice was the screaming girl.
Oh, all right. But she's been in a sensory deprivation tank for 53 hours?
52 hours. Because this is a DC Comics production.
Oh, that works. She wakes up screaming, and Elliot, the scientist friend, explains
This is Robert Joy's character.
Yeah. explains that, after 52 hours in a sensory deprivation tank, you start to lose a little bit of yourself and you start to go a little bit insane, but this is perfectly normal and she'll be fine. Anyway, what were you saying? Let's talk about the house.
He's talking to the soon-to-be ex-wife, who is apparently freaked out about the house, apropos of nothing in the film. Don't misunderstand. She will later explain that she read up on the very public history of the Amityville house, and as a result, does not want her daughter anywhere near it. Mm-hmm. But we have done nothing to set this up in the film, and in fact, there will be a later scene that appears to be the setup for this scene.
Yeah, this scene seems like it was pulled from later in the film and dumped in here. Because where it stands now, she has no knowledge of any of the shit that's happened.
No, nobody does. Nobody is talking to anybody about the shit that's happening in this house. Because there isn't really a lot of shit happening in the house.
We're just assuming that the characters are all watching the same movie we're watching.
Yeah, like at this point we have a guy died in the house. Well, that's a bummer, but he was overweight and who knows, people die. There's a weird thing in an elevator that Tony Roberts never explains to anyone. And then,
just a technical glitch, I'm sure.
Yeah, and then the furnace somehow blew cold air on this one person, but she never explains it to anybody. So
basements are drafty.
Yeah, there's no reason for anybody to be especially freaked out yet. And yet, the ex-wife is so terrified of this house, she does not want Lori Loughlin living in it. Ever.
So Lori Loughlin then shows up with her friend, the cute as a button young Meg Ryan,
who is just really weirding up the room. Like,
she is all about the murder story. She's all about the ghosts. She's all about the supernatural.
Feeling the vibe.
Yeah, this is, to my darkness, this is the most dateable Meg Ryan.
I'll allow it.
Yeah, I don't know. I like creepy girls.
Well, it's just fun because, like, Lori Loughlin is walking through the house like a normal person, you know, just walking around, looking at everything. Meg Ryan is putting every limb that she has in every opposite direction to what she's doing to just actually tactily feel the weirdness of the space.
Yeah, she is a 6-year-old at her first theme park.
Yeah.
Like, she is just all into it, like half dancing and just like, oh my God, this is neat. Oh my God, there was a murder here and blah, 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 and fills us in on a lot of the details.
In like full Canadian tuxedo the entire time.
And they get down to the basement where they find... Now, in the first movie, we had the wall that the bodies were buried behind.
The bricked up wall that had presumably blood on the other side of it. Or red paint of something. So that's the first one. Second one
was the doggy door to hell.
Yeah, the doggy door to hell with the gothic crawl space.
And the sewage and all that.
And the sewage.
Well, this time, those are... gone or boarded up or bricked up?
They're ignored. If they are there, they are ignored in favor of a well.
They kick aside some boards to say that maybe this was here the whole time and they just never moved these 3 boards.
Sure.
There is a well
that are not nailed down.
With bright turquoise glowing light coming out of it. Like, there's
like
water in it.
It's like the Bahamas down in that well.
It looks honestly like a fairly soothing little, like,
it's like
one person hot tub.
It's like a hot spring.
Yeah.
In Amityville.
And I don't know what the commonality of that in Tom's River is, but I think that's a feature.
I'm going with no. It's rare at maximum.
Yeah. And I mean, you're living on the water. Why do you need that in the house anyway?
Also, why do you need that anyway? You're living on the water.
Unless it's some sort of weird mystic sump pump situation.
What? Not in this house.
So they find this spooky well, and there's discussion of how the house was built on an ancient Indian burial ground, which has been...
the old Micmac burial ground.
They've owned the trope.
You don't want to bathe in that well.
Sometimes dehydrated's better. Mr. Crandall, you're going to need to exfoliate yourself. It's a terrible New England accent I'm throwing out there.
I'm trying not to do as many jokes as I can on that. It's so bad.
Don't go for it.
Sometimes funky is better.
You know.
Sometimes swamp ass is better.
You know, demons, they're drawn away from a certain kind of musk a person can have. They want you to bathe. They need you to bathe. You better not bathe in this house, Mr. Crandall. So,
trust me, I take nothing but sponge baths.
So we keep exploring the house. The father goes into the bathroom where it is steamed out like crazy. The faucets are kicking out massive hot water. He's trying to get them to turn. He's trying to, check all the pipes. And the walls are slowly closing in on him, but he doesn't notice this at all. So the ghost is basically torturing him
for its own
for no
pleasure.
reason.
It's just doing it's just hijinks. It felt like bad Time Bandits.
It was like the ghost doing the version of Dr. Johnny Fever trying to sneak up on Lonnie Anderson at the desk on WKRP every so often. He would just every so often he'd walk in the room, she'd be at her desk just like minding her business, and he'd just sneak up creepy style and then just, oh hey Jennifer, how's it going, or something like that. But it was like fair. He did the scare for his own benefit, but never scared her.
Yeah, there's no... Yeah, Tony Roberts never sees anything. He does not get freaked out. And once again, we have supernatural things happening with no apparent result.
Right. If you're trying to scare the guy who doesn't believe in any of this stuff, at least put some of it in front of him. Just
a few notes to you, the Amityville house, for the next time.
Mm-hmm. If you're scaring someone, do it to them.
It's like Juno in Beetlejuice. Tore your faces right off. Well, it should occur to you that it might not be effective doing all the stuff to people that can't see you.
Exactly.
But anyway.
Yep.
So now we're back to Candy Clark.
And the photos, and she's looking at the photos and looking even closer to the photos than
enhance.
Zoom, enhance, zoom.
Enhance, and then random demon face!
Mm-hmm. Looks like the Fluke Man from X-Files.
Oh my god.
A pudgy Fluke Man.
Do you think... we would have to go back and check. Do you think that is the face of the demon that shows up later?
Yes.
Okay.
It looks somewhere like the Fluke Man and the demon from the end of part 2 that busted out of the guy's head.
Yeah. But it is apropos of nothing and does not fit in the film at all and was quite hilarious.
Yeah. Looks, again, like a little bit like an extra alien, which is a deeper cut, but those of you who know it, you know it.
Big eyes, no lips.
Yeah. Kind of a puckery, pointy teeth mouth.
Mm-hmm. But since she now knows what is going on, she has to die immediately.
Well, she has figured out that there is another thing in this picture. What it is, we don't know, nor does she. How it's affecting things, or what it wants. These are questions for another character.
These are questions for a story, which I still hold this movie is not trying to tell.
Not really, no. So now that she knows all of this, she is... we cut away from her for just a moment to where the daughter... her best friend and 2 boys that they're interested in are doing a makeshift Ouija board in the upstairs.
She dies first. I think she dies first. And then
my notes have it otherwise. But either way, okay. Well, we can... Yeah. They do the Ouija board thing. They ask, is anyone in this house in danger? It says S-U-S. Doesn't give the full name, so we think it's Sus.
You're right.
But yeah, Sus, possibly Susan, possibly... probably Susan.
Susquehanna.
Yeah. Is,
gonna die.
Is in danger, and the glass flies across the room, and everyone yells at each other that you did that, you did that.
God, every friggin' Ouija board sequence in every movie that's ever been made has the same exact dialogue, and I'd be angrier if it weren't for the fact that is the same thing that happens every time you use a Ouija board in real life. Everybody's like, you're doing it. No, you're doing it. No, I'm not. I swear to God.
I think it was one of them that did it. We don't know what happened. In the scene that'll come up, we'll talk about that.
Yeah.
So
definitely isn't a demon, because if it had been the whatever entity is haunting the house, it couldn't have been them, because people saw the thing happening.
Right.
It scared them.
Yeah, the demon's just not that, bold like that. It's not, it's not showy.
It's much more, the thing haunting the Amityville house is much more conceptual in its performance art this time around than in the first.
Yeah, it likes to think of itself as an art installation.
Yes.
So we have the Ouija board thing.
The confusing thing for me is that the the lunch date and the Ouija board stuff is all happening in broad daylight, and the Candy Clark's death appears to be happening at night.
Yes.
That's why I'm getting confused at the sequence of events.
Continuity and
Time
editing
zones.
errors and...
Which brings us to the car death.
So his partner...
Candy Clark.
Kenny Clark is driving somewhere from having gotten, a good look at those.
Going to Tony Roberts with this new and proof irrefutable.
That's right. And we are in an era without cell phones, so she can't just call him.
Or phones, period. Like no landlines.
Doesn't appear that there are many working landlines in this entire thing, but definitely no cell phones.
Yeah.
And she's on the way, and a fly appears in her car.
And that means, the house is working on her car.
It flies around, it gets in her face, she swings and swats at it, but then her brakes stop working.
Yep.
And she drives
it.
right into the back of a truck loaded with metal pipes, one of which sticks several feet off the back, as you do.
Perfect for 3D effects.
Because she slams right into it, the pipe goes through the windshield and narrowly misses her head. So we don't get a Final Destination 2 kind of thing there.
No, we don't.
Instead, we get
Destination 2.
What seems like a lazy cousin of the Final Destinations, because now that she's not
safe.
gotten hit by the... Yeah.
She is presumably safe. The telegraphed doom did not happen, so now all she has to do is get out of the car and go on with her life. Except... now fire.
Her jacket catches fire.
Well, first, the folder holding the enlarged pictures catches a little bit of fire.
Okay, that's what that was.
And
gotcha. Okay.
And before she goes to swat that, her steering wheel just bursts into like a little bitty bit of flame. And so she goes to put out the folder fire, and that puts her on fire, and then the steering wheel's on fire, and there's all this concentrated fire, and she burns into like a charred body, which some passerby notices, opens up the door only to find that there is a charred body, but the entire rest of the car is fine.
Yeah, only she burned. And she's still moving because she lunges at the camera because 3D! In none of this does the guy in the truck with all the pipes get out and check.
No, that guy is not anywhere.
Yeah, and this is not like it was a parked on the side of the road car. He was stopped at an intersection, so,
It's ridiculous.
He's an asshole.
And then we cut to a Frisbee. which was we cut to a Frisbee, which was my favorite 3D effect in the entire film.
Like we thought that we had just gotten the big 3D punch with that pipe, but no.
Yeah.
3D flies out of frame, 3D flies back at you as somebody returns it. We're having fun now.
We're having fun. Everything is good. And you know what? Turns out Tony Roberts has a boat. I mean, he has the dock. He bought the house with the dock, but they've never even paid just even a random mention that he also has a boat. And so,
but he has a dock, so why wouldn't you get a boat?
Why wouldn't you get a boat?
Before other things for your house.
Other things for the house. Well, actually, the house appears to be fairly furnished. Not overly, but there's enough stuff.
He moved in quick with a half of a small house worth of his stuff, filling out this mega house. Pretty good use of space.
Yeah, which is impressive because he's, on the road to be divorced, so you would think at least half of the furniture is the wife's.
Right.
But anyway.
So they go, her, Susan and her friends who have, been spooked out by the Ouija board experience, decide to go out on the boat.
Let's go relax on a little speedboat.
Mm-hmm. It's not the house.
Loughlin. No, it's not the house. It's not the Ouija board. Everything is fine. And at this point, Lori Loughlin's mom, Tony Roberts' soon-to-be ex-wife, can't find Lori Loughlin anywhere, realizes obviously she's at the other of the two locations that we have in this film, and goes to the Amityville house to find her daughter, who she has expressly told not to go to this house.
And she's upset because the daughter walks into the house dripping wet. That perfect Lori Loughlin haircut is now a little bit matted.
Yeah.
Yeah, her outfit is soaking, and she just turns and looks at the mom and then just goes upstairs.
Gives her a real, the mom asks, hey, what are you doing? What's going on? And Lori Loughlin gives her a fairly good, creepy stare. And then continues walking upstairs, leaving wet footprints in her wake.
Yep. At this point, the dad gets home as well, comes up to the house, and is about to go into this whole scenario. But then he looks down at the dock, where the friends have just pulled in and are dragging the body of Susan off the boat. He runs down because she has apparently drowned.
Yep.
That was her ghost in the house. Yeah. And he asks, as he gets there, he's like, oh my God, have you called an ambulance? Yeah, we've taken care of that. Remembering that they're just stepping off of this boat and nobody has cell phones.
Other people said they called an ambulance, though. But
they were getting off the boat with the body as he's running up, so they had to have called the ambulance from the boat.
I'm okay.
That's the only option.
This is a step I'm okay that they skipped. It's
okay.
I was still at this point very impressed with the creepy reveal that Lori Loughlin had died.
Yeah, it was a good reveal.
That was a good gag.
Just marred by some very specific wait a seconds.
Well, yeah, as is everything in the film. And the wife, Tess Harper, is trying to get Lori Loughlin to say anything to her, but of course she won't because she did. And she goes outside and to her horror finds that Tony Roberts, for some stupid reason, thinks their daughter drowned. Even though I just saw her, she's in the house and she's fine.
What about
she's
what
just
I
changing
saw?
Her clothes.
What I saw has merit too. Why is it just what you saw? Well, because it's our daughter's corpse on the lawn.
It is a very bad both sides incident.
Yeah.
There's no both sides to this. The girl is dead. It sucks. And I was surprised that they, you would think that it would go directly into blaming Tony Roberts for everything bad that has ever happened in any of their lives. But no, the mom has gone completely berserk.
So now they have to figure out what's going on to save the mother's sanity. Tony goes to his friend Elliot West.
Dr. West.
And
the other Dr. West.
Yeah. Is convinced that the best thing to do in this situation, to help their grieving, is to do a full investigative study of the house, video cameras everywhere, just try and figure out what's going on there, because if there is something supernatural, it'll help the mother know that she's sane.
Yeah, and so proceeds a setup that's it's like Poltergeist, but it's better. There's more stuff. It's not just ragtag bullshit and Poltergeist. This is what it would really look like.
Sure. They do have a lot of gear. They brought in boom mics for everybody, and
you get a boom mic. You get a boom mic.
And those boom mic. If you don't think those boom mics were used for 3D effects right at the crowd, or a camera with a mini light on front right at the crowd, or literally every piece of equipment they have comes right at you.
It's great. It doesn't get tedious after a while at all.
No. The microphone buzzing at you as it hovers over the audience, as microphones do.
Yeah.
So
we have the seance. It's kind of in a better movie, this would be a nice bookend where it's it starts with a fake seance, a fake medium trying to do everything, and now we're ending with an actual scientific thing, and we know that there is a presence in the house, and we're trying to figure it out. But no, it's just some astral lava lamp effect.
Yeah. It's some sort of glowy orb, silk sheet, lava lamp, blobby, pink, floaty thing is, as far as we know, Susan.
Yes.
Leading the mother down to the basement to the magical well.
which Dr. West explains is like, we have to also, not only do we need to save Tess Harper, we need to save Lori Loughlin.
Mm-hmm. And we have to save them.
The entity is using Lori Loughlin to get Tess Harper.
Mm-hmm. The best way to save them is to follow them down into the basement.
But don't stop them.
But don't stop them. Let it do its thing.
Yeah. And then at the last second, maybe I'll figure something out.
Mm-hmm.
So they go to the well, which is roiling at this point. And Nancy goes down. Or actually, no, Dr. West is already down there. He beat them to the punch.
Yes.
And
so, he got down there first, and then the floaty effects test from the abyss follows, and then the parents go down.
Yep. And then, apropos of nothing, a gigantic monster demon erupts out of the water.
Yeah. Sort of, kind of like the one in the picture. Sort of, kind of like the one that busted out of the guy in the last movie.
Which we never found out what happened to the priest or anybody after the second one.
Not really, no.
Which was fun.
Yeah. It busts out and it breathes fire into Elliot's face and scars half of it immediately, just cooks him to a crisp.
Yeah, it's terrible.
And it pulls him down into the well where he starts yelling, save yourself, run, save yourself.
Yeah. As an aside, it's kind of funny, like Robert Joy playing Dr. West gets burned on half of his face, which we got to double check. Is it the same side of his face that is burned in Land of the Dead?
We're going to just say yes.
We'll go with yes. It's like, this is the origin of his character in Land of the Dead.
Mm-hmm. So now he's dead. So the only two characters and I put strong air quotes on this, care about, make their way back upstairs. They run as all hell breaks loose all over the house. The same kind of hell breaking loose that opened the last movie.
Yeah, it's like essentially everything that can be exploding or flying through the air is exploding or flying through the air. There's like 30 researchers. They're being thrown through windows. Furniture is slamming them into walls. Like
they're being smashed and smushed and flipped. A swordfish flies across the air in 3D. Narrowly misses our heroes.
Yeah.
They make it out of the house.
Yes.
And then the house
explodes.
As it's wont to do.
In sequence. Like, it's like different parts of it explode, just collapsing the entire thing on itself. This is not like the fireball that was just out of nowhere and amazing in the second one.
Yeah, but left the house intact. This obliterates the house in one of those. We have 8 cameras surrounding this effect, and we are using every frame of all of it.
Yeah.
Explosions. It was miniature work. One, because they didn't blow out the house for real, but yeah, it looked pretty good. The house is completely destroyed except for the front door.
Yep. And the well.
Bum, bum, bum.
And we end with one lone glowy purple fly flying at the camera because, again, 3D. And that's it.
Yeah. So...
all of these things sound awesome, though.
They could be awesome. A remake of... No, don't remake this.
No.
It's... basically, the story is guy finds a cheap house, doesn't spend a lot of time there, but everyone else who goes to the house dies until he starts to realize maybe I should try and calm my wife down by proving nothing is going on. Despite, again, his real estate agent dropping dead in the house right in front of him right as he moves in, his daughter dying there, his partner at the magazine for years dying in a car accident. Like, all of this is just coincidence.
It is unclear if he's ever aware of the partner dying.
This is also true. But, like...
one assumes.
I would say that 1, maybe 2 deaths...
yeah.
...at your house that you just moved into
or
that has been connected to multiple deaths. Maybe.
No.
You believe a little bit.
No. Not Tony Roberts, who continued to be disinterested in the film up until the very end.
The truth of the matter just refused to get through his thick hair. Everybody in this movie has such thick hair.
Oh, it's a lot of good hair.
Laughlin's hair is thick. Meg Ryan has like not quite a pixie cut, but
it's short.
It's short, and it is a
very
thick helmet of Meg Ryan hair.
Yeah, and there's just like no connective tissue to any of the events in this film, which is weird because it all happens in like the same 2 locations with all the same characters, but nobody seems to put anything together, and if they do, they immediately die before they can leave any of that information to anybody else.
It really feels like while they were making this, they just every day woke up and said, what's a scene we need? Yeah. Okay, let's do that. And then after a couple weeks of filming, we've got enough scenes, right? Yeah. I think we've got enough scenes. Yeah, let's go with that.
And or they would just cut things out. Like, I feel like there's like 5 scenes that are supposed to be in the movie that aren't in the movie. And then like we have like the whole big explosion of the house at the end, which like in a better movie would be like, hey, we're like, it would feel connected to the first 2 films, so it'd be like we're finally putting this evil to rest, and it won't happen anymore. But it's just like, now the house exploded, and here's like the pointless, Carrie hand coming out of the grave to show like, but there might be more if you want more.
So we want to make an Amityville movie. What are the big things? Well, I remember flies.
Yep.
The house explodes.
Yep.
There's those windows upstairs. We need those.
People die.
There was a murder. There was a.
Actually, nobody dies in the first one.
No. Yeah.
Well, you see, like, the prequel deaths. Or, like, there's deaths. In the prologue, rather, there's deaths. But nobody actually dies in the first one.
Yeah. And this one had the highest body count, but most of it was completely incidental characters.
Yeah, because of all the researchers.
All the AV people. Because even if some of them were just pinned or knocked unconscious, the house blows up, and there ain't a lot of people on the outside when it does.
There's maybe 4 people outside of Tess Harper and Tony Roberts that survived the house. And then that's it. And also, like, it does break with nobody is driven insane and or possessed by a demon and appears to be insane in the film. So that's like a major break in the formula, if you want to say that there is a formula to these.
Yeah, this time, instead of somebody going crazy, there's just a stubborn sanity, which is not as scary.
No.
It's watching someone go insane is fascinating. That's an acting thing. That's a where is this going to go? This person's unpredictable. But when you have somebody that's locked in as a skeptic, and that's your whole plot is that everybody, the audience, all the characters know, and it's just this one person being stubborn.
He has no
not
art.
Interesting.
I bet you if you were to talk to that character after the house explodes, he would say it was a gas leak.
Probably, yeah.
It's like, it's stuff.
Unfortunately, all of the AV equipment was blown up inside the house. Yeah. There's no proof of any of it.
There's no way to confirm any of it.
Just a door and a glowing well, and lots of questions.
Yeah, but not for us.
Nope.
I think we're. So what do you think, Patrick? What's the resale value of this Amityville Horror?
Fairly low. It's definitely a fixer-upper.
It is. But I mean, there is like a foundation to it. But man, they did not build on it at all.
No.
Somebody else could. Maybe somebody else will in number 4. Which I haven't looked anything up about number 4.
Neither have I. We will be going in pretty blind on that. Try and figure out maybe a basic factoid or two.
We'll find something. We'll get bored and be like, well, what is this movie that we're going to watch?
Yeah, but we're already about a 10th of the way into this experiment.
Dear God.
Those fractions will just get more soothing.
I hope so. It's like, because, there's like 30 more of these.
And we don't know how many more they're going to make by the time we're done.
My God, they could be making more. I mean, I know everybody has their pandemic hobbies, but Jesus.
Yeah. And Amityville Quarantine is probably already in production.
Yes, Amityville Quarantine.
That actually has potential.
That's a great idea. And then you're just doing like all these sad Zoom calls saying, I keep hearing things. I guess that's just paranormal activity.
Look, it's not like this franchise hasn't ripped things off before.
I know. Again, this has nothing to do with Poltergeist. And if it does, it's a better version of it. Had Poltergeist come out yet? Yeah, Poltergeist was out.
Yeah, Poltergeist was the year before this one.
Yeah. And God, Poltergeist looks like it was filmed yesterday, whereas this one has that very 70s borderline TV production look.
This looks like it was shot yesteryear.
Yeah. Oof. Amityville 3. Amityville 3D. On Tubi. If you want.
Yep. It is not in 3D, but if you close one eye, you can pretend you're just missing it that way.
Honestly, you should just watch 2 again.
Yeah.
God damn it, that second one was good. All right. Anything else?
That's all I got. So, yeah, we will, check back in with you next time.
Yep.
If you want to interact with us online, you can check us out on Instagram or Twitter at Amityville Show, or you can send us an email at podcastamityville@gmail.com.